Common sense, but we're not going to talk common sense up next. We're going to be talking about Meghan. Meghan, you remember her? Yeah, we don't like in the news very often because she likes her private life, but the Duchess of Sussex is in the news after giving an interview with a US business magazine. What the hell they were talking about.
I was told by somebody they were only putting out 10 jars. So, of course, it would all go because I think she sold them to her friends.
I don't think she even sold it to her friends. I think they were all thought she sent it to them.
This jar of non-jam, because it's actually only allowed officially to be called fruit spread because there's not enough fruit in it.
A new brand as ever. She's previously hinted she might never restock her jam because the first batch sold out within 45 minutes.
Harry and Meghan's $20 million lifestyle is spiraling so hard that even Jeff Bezos probably double-checked his Amazon Prime bill. And guess what Meghan just did? She launched a jam brand. Not a charity, not a podcast, not even a reality show. Nope. Jam. Like fruit in a jar. Because nothing says rescue mission like strawberry preserves with gold foil labels.
Less than I thought it would be. And we have spent, you can't order it here in London, so we had to order it through a friend of mine who lives in Los Angeles. They got the product. And then, this is probably costs us about 300 quid, so it better be good. Now, with me to enjoy this experience, to taste test.
Yeah. Well, whatever way it was. So it's been a disaster. And one of the disasters was the packing, which she spent day after day, so she said, poor thing, packing it up the right way and the right colour. And it's cost.
Before we move on, please subscribe and help support our channel. Because unlike Meghan's jam, our content won't expire in 6 months and end up in a billionaire's forgotten pantry. Now look, when you hear the words royal emergency, you think paparazzi or scandals. Not, oops, we might lose the mansion if this blueberry batch doesn't go viral. But that's exactly where we are. Meghan is out here bottling fruit like it's a Marvel Infinity Stone. And the name? American Riviera Orchard. Sounds less like a jam company and more like a failed Netflix series about a vineyard that secretly sells crypto.
This cylinder now, if you're watching, what a, ta-da! Right, there it is. This is raspberry spread. I believe this is like 14.
An absolute fortune. So the whole thing has been a disaster. They spent a year planning it because we were waiting.
The honey is $28 and the tea is about the same price. So they're not giving this away. So magic moment, we're going to open it now.
But wait, we haven't even opened the jar yet. So Meghan sends out these handmade jam jars to her friends. Keyword, friends. Because you know it's serious when Oprah gets a complimentary jar of raspberry with a handwritten note that says, help me. Like, these jars are going to celebrities the way resumes go to HR, pretty on the outside, completely ignored inside. Now, here's the kicker. The jam isn't even legally allowed to be called jam. There's not enough fruit in it. You heard that right. It's fruit spread. I'm sorry, did she squeeze a raspberry over the jar and call it luxury? And for $14 a pop, you better believe I expect the jam to teleport me to Buckingham Palace and slap some manners into me. But Meghan's math is different. Because to fund their $20 million a year lifestyle off jam sales alone, she'd need to sell 2.5 million jars a year. 2.5 million. Unless she's opening a jam cartel, this ain't happening. And speaking of financial logic, Prince Harry's role in all of this is blurry.
It is much better, much cheaper, and he gives the amount of money to charity. So
but the Duchy, I mean, that's been a spectacular success, hasn't it? And I know there are quite a lot. I certainly do, but they did a lot of very.
Hang on, I heard. Yeah, I mean,
that was sold at my local supermarket. They're absolutely top notch. But there was some talk that she apparently was the view. I mean, she's got some podcast that's.
It doesn't overwhelm you. And people said it was thin. I can see that it's moving around in the jar. Right. Okay.
Women found. I mean, I don't bother learning the names of these things because they never last that long. But basically about business founders.
Harry's just vibing in Montecito like, wait, so we're not doing podcasts anymore? One day he's giving emotional speeches. The next he's loading jars into influencer gift bags like a royal DoorDash driver. Sources say Meghan packed these jars herself because nothing says future billionaire like a duchess on her kitchen floor, crying over twine and stickers, praying the ribbon color matches the mood board. Now, let's talk logistics. This is not some Amazon FBA setup. This is the kind of small batch operation where sold out means we made 12. You know it's a bad sign when Etsy sellers are out scaling you. And here's where it gets insane. The estate they're living in? Montecito, 20,000 square feet. Like Hogwarts, if Dumbledore had a Lululemon addiction. Just the mortgage is $100K a month. So, unless each jar of jam contains a tiny leprechaun that pays rent, I don't know how this is sustainable.
It tastes of entitlement, greed, avarice and deception.
Founder of a business. She
Yes,
just, it's a cottage industry. But she's had. I mean, most brands would dream of having this amount of pop.
Yeah, because with the cracker and the amount, the stingy amount.
Let's bring a bit of salt.
But
Doesn't know anything about business. Nobody wanted to become the CEO of what she was making, and so she took it on because she is incredibly clever and always knows best. And
I mean, and I'll say this as well: the packaging is quite nice. I mean, she's obsessed with packaging. She made a big thing about.
Then there's security. 4 bodyguards on rotation, 12-hour shifts, $1,000 per shift. That's $3 million a year to keep TMZ away from their kombucha. Now add the staff. Montessori-trained nannies, imported chefs who only cook with lemons grown on the east side of a Tibetan hill, housekeepers with pillow-fluffing degrees from the Ritz, and wait for Ida's seasonal orchid labyrinth. You know how rich you gotta be to rotate flowers based on your mood? I get stressed when my basil plant dies, and she's like, ugh, my lavender maze is clashing with my autumn energy. That's not a home. That's Pinterest Premium on steroids. And you know what's more unstable than that mood board? The legal and PR bills.
so that's what it is. But I think the whole thing, let me just read you some of the things she says. You know,
Do you have to?
she wants to step back and get
This is how it turned up, by the way. This is the shortbread cookie mix. So
from the launch and work out exactly what as ever could be, right? But the other thing is that no one offered to give her some money. No one offered to share it or buy.
this you can legally call jam. So it's much more sort of solid. Let's try it.
Didn't think it was any good. So that's why they're not doing it.
They didn't want to be associated with the brand. She said, but didn't she reckon that she, apparently, friends are saying, she expected to, wants to become a billionaire.
They've got 2 legal teams on permanent retainer, one in LA and one in London. $500,000 a year. That's not even counting the emergency cease and desist letters every time someone tweets, "This jam tastes like regret." And the PR circus? Absolute chaos. In the last year, they've cycled through more communications teams than Harry has had awkward interviews. Each new firm comes in like, okay, this time let's lead with lavender honey, not trauma. Netflix is ghosting them. Spotify pulled out faster than Harry from the royal group chat. Even Archetypes, the podcast that was supposed to be Meghan's Beyonce moment, ended like a voicemail nobody finished listening to. And with every failed venture, guess who's bankrolling it? Prince Harry. Yep.
Pretentious wine critic.
Exactly.
It's a bit of a ruffian, but I think he'll be amused by its presumption.
And and be this successful entrepreneur. But everything she touches, I mean, whether it's the podcast, whether it's the Netflix.
Actually, you really can tell. This is
proper jam.
It really is.
That's real.
Meghan's is kind of quite sharp
Yeah.
and thin and tangy, but not unpleasant, as I say, and certainly not worth $14. So thank you very much, Meghan. And as I say,
because I didn't think it was any good. So that's why they're not doing it.
They didn't want to be associated with the brand.
This guy went from heir to the throne to angel investor in fruit spread. Every time she launches a project, he writes the check like he's ordering Uber Eats. Their foundation, Archewell, has more staff turnover than a haunted Burger King. Nobody wants to stay long enough to explain to Meghan that you can't fund a $20 million lifestyle with 3 jars of jam and a dream. And now, just when we thought it couldn't get messier, Meghan included HRH, Her Royal Highness, on the jam labels. That's the royal version of tagging your ex in your thirst trap. Buckingham Palace saw that, and Prince William had a meltdown so loud the Queen probably heard it from the afterlife. You can't just slap HRH on jam like it's a TikTok username.
tomorrow on my show tomorrow, which goes out on Friday night, we're going to try the cookies. So, right, shall we try and do a bit of journalism or something like that?
Okay. She expected to, wants to become a billionaire. She wants to make serious money and, and be this successful entrepreneur. But everything she touches, I mean, whether it's, the podcast, whether it's the Netflix.
There's some. Let me ask you. We spoke last night.
The children's books, didn't she write at some point? None of it is a
That's
success.
terrible. That, if you saw that book, no sentence made proper sense. It was absolutely appalling, and it was about 2 sentences.
Using royal titles for commercial gain is the monarchy's biggest red line. It's like using the bat signal to promote your candle brand. And Meghan just lit it up for raspberry spread. They left the royal family, saying they wanted privacy. And now, every corner of their house is an Instagram opportunity. There are influencers out there with less product placement than their kitchen table. There's handcrafted tea. There's honey that costs more than my internet bill. Even the cookie mix costs $28. For $28, that cookie better know my pronouns and read me bedtime stories. So here we are, royalty turned brand ambassadors turned jam dealers. But it doesn't end there.
In his head, I'm not sure he's at all sure, but there's no doubt the man is in the depths of some kind of paranoia, whether that amounts to mental.
That a clinician would look for in diagnosing narcissism and the patterns of behaviour, even the way she used words, it's highly narcissistic, highly indicative of narcissistic psychopathy, or maybe something even worse.
Yesterday or the day before was Mother's Day, wasn't it? And she, even in she posted a picture of her and the kids. Obviously.
Insiders are now whispering that Harry's inheritance, the $25 million left to him by Diana and the Queen Mother, is drying up, not being used, not invested. No, it's being eaten alive by the ever-hungry beast known as Meghan's Pinterest aesthetic. We're talking $10,000 for floral installations, for private events, a wellness room that smells like imported serenity. And don't forget the sunrise yoga sessions with instructors flown in from Bali. I don't even know my neighbor's name, and she's importing gurus like they're sneakers. And the jam? Still sitting on celebrity shelves, unopened, quietly fermenting under the weight of its own PR spin. But wait, it gets even weirder.
That hasn't gone down very well with a lot of people, has it? But also these occasional appearances of Prince Harry, who has very much become the +1 in this relationship, hasn't he?
Well,
For the things I give and for the things I do. So we call these pro-social narcissists.
But that's her. That's
100%.
her through and through.
100%. She thinks that she's special because of her kindness, her charitable works, what she's... I think she's completely deluded. She has very little grasp.
Turns out, because of California's cottage food laws, Meghan legally can't scale this business without major operational changes. So she's stuck. Can't go big, can't stay small. It's like starting a lemonade stand inside a Lamborghini. Even if the jam went viral, she can't meet demand unless she sells her aesthetic soul to Costco. And we both know Meghan ain't ready for a 3 for $12 sticker on her artisan jars. So now she's trapped. Too royal for the mass market, too broke for a boutique. And every new press release, every mood board, every limited edition jar is just another attempt to stop the empire from crumbling like overbaked scones. So the next time you see Meghan smiling next to a floral basket on Instagram, just know that behind the scenes, Harry's probably on the phone with a banker whispering, "Can jam be a tax write-off?"